Hello and welcome to SEC Basketball Predictions. I am your host, Chris Lee of Southeastern 16, joined by my good friends Blake Lovell and Max Barr. We are set to preview Kentucky's road trip to the Sandy and John Black Pavilion at Ole Miss. You can catch that 6 Central on ESPN, and don't have a line on this as we're doing it, but looks like, according to Ken Palm, Ole Miss about a 3-point favorite here, Max Barr. Start us off.
Quick turnaround for both teams coming off Saturday losses. Ole Miss coming off the tough home loss where they felt like they had a chance. If you listen to Chris Beard and Sean Padula in their post-game press conferences, they were real disappointed. Genuinely believed through and through 100%. They going into that game, they were going to win. And they had chances, but Auburn just a bit Just too good, a bit too good. And then Kentucky, obviously, coming off of the heartbreaker, the big one, the home loss against Arkansas. And then you got to turn around, play on Tuesday. Let's go. Get back up, and you got to play. Two teams that are going to be playing desperate. We're not going to have Lamont Butler. I believe Andrew Carr is expected to play. Now, I think you're just going to go into every game where we have Andrew Carr with either a questionable or probable tag. But Dre Davis has been healthy for Ole Miss. It seems like Matt Morrell, 17 points last game. He was a bit hobbled the past few weeks, so it looks like Morrell might be getting a little bit better, but Beard still said in his postgame Morrell's playing through a ton of injury. So there you have it, boys. There's the stage is set. You got a one-possession spread, two teams who desperately need to get back on and just get some confidence going again here.
Yep, Kentucky's lost 3 of 4. Ole Miss has lost 4 or 5. Something's got to give in Oxford.
Well, something's got to give in the Kentucky offense versus Ole Miss defense side, too. Kentucky ranks 3rd in offense, according to Ken Palm. Ole Miss 12th in defense. We know Ole Miss has got a lot of veteran guards who are really good. Ole Miss, I think the team played more minutes last year in Division I than any other team in the SEC. Max Barr, what do you see that catches your eye here?
Turnovers. Name of the game here, especially with Kentucky going on the road to one of the best teams in the SEC and the nation on winning the turnover battle. You saw what Ole Miss could do when they played at Alabama, just forcing turnover after turnover. The way that the Mark Adams defense is implemented, it is just tough sledding. Skip passes that normally are there are not there against this defense. They just, right when you think you got an open passing lane, someone comes and tips it, and they're off and running. Padula's off and running. Juju Murray's off and running. It's a tough defense to figure out, and Kentucky is going to have to do it without their 2 point guards in this one.
Yeah, just repeat that last statement. That's, if you're looking for a potential separator in this game, that's where you start. Because like we said, we've seen Ole Miss do this to other good offensive teams, name Alabama. We remember what happened kind of in a game like that. It's different here, but still, you're talking about still from a number standpoint, one of the best offensive teams in the country in Kentucky. But it's just, can they get those same kind of looks? Can they capitalize on those looks? That's the question, because it's just Ole Miss. We talked about this too. They've lost 4 or 5. Yes, they have. But is there anywhere in that 4 or 5 where we've just been like, man, Ole Miss played some bad basketball there, right? And there's not. The 3-point loss of Mississippi State in overtime, Texas A&M at home by a point, at Missouri by 8. The home win against Texas, and then losing at home to Auburn by 10. But there's nowhere in there that we've kind of been like, time to hit the panic button for Ole Miss. And probably we'd even say that defensively at times. And they've given up 84, 83, and 92. I don't think we've been like, man, they're just not playing good defense. They just happen to play either teams that got hot or a historically great offense in Auburn. And so, yeah, it's just, I think that's what's interesting. As Max said, if Ole Miss just comes out and works their defensive plan here, even against a good offense like Kentucky may still put up some points. But the Rebels have been right there with a chance to win these games, and defensively, they've given themselves a lot of good opportunities. It's just they played some teams that have gotten hot, which we know Kentucky can also do that. So
The other side of the matchup, Kentucky's defensive deficiencies we've discussed a lot. And Ole Miss, really, frankly, I'm a little surprised, ranks 36th in offense. You look at the parts here. Sean Padula's 15.2 points a game. Morrell, 11.2, and can do more than that. It's just they've got to share the ball. Jalen Murray, 10.9. Jamin Brakefield, 10.8. Dre Davis, 9.7. Malik Dia, 9.6, but has had some big games lately. I feel like this offense, especially with Sean Padula, is maybe a little better than it's shown on paper so far. Max, your thoughts about this side of the matchup?
Well, you're talking about the Kentucky defense right now, and there's not going to be too much positive. I mean, the numbers are what they are. The thing that they do well is they do defensive rebound with Amari Williams. He's one of the better defensive rebounders in this league, and Ole Miss really does not lean on offensive rebounding. They're dead last in the SEC in offensive rebounding. So if there's one thing Kentucky defensively can try to lean on, it's if we do force them into a tough shot, we're probably getting that defensive rebound, and it's only going to be a one-shot trip, right? Because offensive rebounds killing Kentucky. That's the only thing, though. When you look at point distribution, when you look at where Ole Miss is getting their points from, it's from a lot of three-pointers and a little bit of free throws. Well, Kentucky defensively, where do they give up most of their points? Mostly from three-pointers, a little bit from free throws, and then last would be 2-point field goals. So when you look at, I mean, come on, we were talking about the worst defense in the SEC here. There's not many categories you're going to look at this Kentucky defense and say, I think they have the advantage here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's as simple as that. It's just defensively, where are you going to find the numbers that support saying that they're going to come out and stop and just shut down this Ole Miss team offensively? There's not a lot of numbers to support that right now. We've seen flashes of it. We've seen good stretches, but it's just the consistency, and especially now when you try to put that together on the road, right? And I know there could be pushback and say, well, look what we did against Tennessee. Well, we've just kind of said it. Tennessee's kind of been up and down offensively, to say the least, at times. And again, we can probably say the same thing about Ole Miss at times too on the offensive side of the floor. But I just think it's the unknowns. It's the unpredictability of what you're going to get defensively with Kentucky. I mean, like we said, we laugh about our picks for Kentucky games, right? We laugh about the Southeastern 16 kiss of death and all that, but it's like, how do you predict Kentucky games this season? Like, how can we go in knowing exactly what we're going to get from this team? There's no way. And like we said, the injuries certainly have played a role in that you have different rotations and you just don't know, possession by possession, what it's going to look like defensively. You still think it's going to look okay offensively, but defensively, that's where the real questions come in. And now you hit the road to play a desperate team that is still pretty good on the offensive side and are going to at least probably get shots that they want, because we know they're not going to turn it over. And so how does Kentucky, turn that into good defense where they can maybe not let Ole Miss get the shots they want? I don't have a great answer for that right now.
Are we ready for picks?
At Mississippi State, Kentucky was an underdog. They won. At Tennessee, Kentucky was an underdog. They won. Against the Zags, they were an underdog. They won. Against the Dukies, they were an underdog. They won. This is now the 5th time this year Kentucky has been an underdog. They are undefeated so far when they have been an underdog. And this seems like a game where it's only going to be a 3, maybe 4 or 5 point spread, at least, or at most 2 possessions. But somehow it feels like the game's already over. Why do we even have to play it? This is a rare time I'm going against that theory. I think that the injury limitations combined with the way Ole Miss forces turnovers, I think it's just a nightmare matchup. So I'm going to go Ole Miss here. Every time Kentucky's been an underdog, I've picked the other team. Every time I've been wrong. So here you go, Cats fans. Let's make it a 5th. Going Ole Miss.
Boy, do we think too much alike. In addition to that, Ole Miss, I think there's some kind of string where they've lost 9 in a row against top 10 teams or something like that. I don't know that Kentucky will be in the top 10 today when the poll comes out. We're doing this Monday morning. I doubt it will. But point is, Ole Miss has had a trouble in that spot. But, man, I've just got the image of DJ Wagner just not being able to be stopped in Lexington Saturday. They had to switch guys. You got Sean Padula, who I don't know if he's the best point guard in the league, but I think he's on that short list of guys that have to look into it. You got all those veterans. You got Morrell. I just think that this stylistically could be a hard matchup for Kentucky. Ole Miss can get points from a lot of points. Kentucky can give them up from a lot of places. Ole Miss can get scoring from a lot of places. I mean, and Kentucky can give them up from a lot of places. That's what I meant to say. I'm with you, Max. I'm going to go against the trends. Well, I'll say this. It feels like every time we buried Kentucky, the Cats have come out pretty strong. But I just think the Butler and Creasa things have got to catch up at some point. And when you're facing a team with this many deep guards in its building, that feels like a bad spot. Give me Ole Miss.
It's funny. You could replay that exact sentence that you just said before the Tennessee game.
Yep.
You could say the exact same sentence. And what happened? Like, it's just, we can say the exact same thing, but literally that was probably most of our explanations for the Tennessee game. Bad spot, good guards, trouble. Trouble for the Cats. Is it trouble for the Cats that Max Barr and Chris Lee have already picked Ole Miss, and I'm even considering picking Kentucky to not have the reverse kiss of death, which Kentucky, I don't know, has gotten. Have they gotten that many times this season? The times they have gotten it, what's happened? They've won.
They win.
Yep.
And so, I will tell you, 111-14. Kentucky has only lost 14 times in the history of civilization to Ole Miss in basketball. 14 times. Going all the way back to 1925. The first meeting between these two. The Cats won a barn burner, 26-23, 100 years ago.
Was
these two
Matt
teams
Morrell
played.
playing in that one?
Matt Morrell was not dressed for that game. He was out. And then I'm here to tell you that they came back 2 years later in 1927. Ole Miss won 37-17. Had a couple field goals in that game. What does it have to do with this one? Nothing, because my pick is very simple. I would try to give you some analysis, but quite frankly, it's not needed here. I do not want to lose the biggest fan in the history of Southeastern 16, the most dedicated fan there is, and I'm not calling out anybody else's dedication here, but let's be honest. The MVP is Mother Carroll, and she has cursed me multiple times, saying that I've cursed them and the Kentucky Wildcats for picking them when I shouldn't pick them. Now the opportunity is to go Southeastern 16 kiss of death in reverse, the reverse mojo. Give me the Rebels in Oxford.
Oh. You had no idea what you were doing, did you?
Oh, I 100% knew what I was doing. Are you kidding me? Come on, Chris. How many times we got to play this game?
I thought you were stalling to make up your mind.
No, any two. Come on. I always go series history, and I decided to go back 100 years for this one. But, I mean, this was always the pick. I mean, look, Ole Miss is going to be the favorite in this game. We can talk about Southeastern 16 kiss of death all we want, but you guys made the valid reasons as to why Ole Miss probably is in a good position here. But you never know with the Cats. You never know with the Cats, and we'll see if the Southeastern 16 kiss of death works in reverse here for our Kentucky faithful. So, but quickly, before we head out of here, I'm going to tell you quickly about bracket bids, because you guys know I do it all the time. I got to tell you about them, though. Because if you want to fill out a bracket this March and you want to take Kentucky all the way to the national championship or have them eliminated in round one, you can do it either way, and you can do it with bracket bids, because you can take your college hoops experience to the next level, enter that free pick'em contest, or start an auction draft league with your friends, family, or coworkers. Everyone starts with the same bidding dollars. It's up to you to outwit and outbid your league mates to secure the teams you think will go the distance. Choose from multiple scoring models, including upset bonuses to reward bold picks. Track your teams with live in-game scoring. Watch the standings shift in real time. The further your teams advance, the higher you climb in the standings. That's how it works. For league play, use that promo code SC16, SC16, for 40% off. Download the Bracket Bids app today or visit them at bracketbids.com.